Well, good morning. Welcome to another week on my extremely wet, soggy, but not flooded allotment. And yeah, there's only one topic of conversation amongst people who grow fruits and veg this week, and that's the weather. It's quite unbelievable, the level of cold. We had a lovely weekend. I did tell you in the other video, the last one, that my daughter was going with my mum and my wife to a very nice, not that I saw it, wedding dress shop. And I spent the day with my dad, and we had a wonderful time, as did the ladies. They went to the wedding dress shop and then they went on for a meal. And it was very successful. She is now the owner of her wedding dress, and although it's got to be, you know, whatever you do, tailored, adjusted, I don't know, but yeah, that's all got to go on. But yeah, it was very successful, and they came back on a massive high, which was wonderful. And it's the first time we've got together in a year or plus, and it's been legal, which was nice. So yeah, and the weather was atrocious at the weekend, and we got home last night and my wife said I'd like to put the heating on, and I couldn't argue with her. You know, it was freezing in the house. So yeah, the temperature driving here this morning was well, it's 5 to 6 now, and the temperature on the van gauge was 6 degrees Celsius. You can't drive around the back, you know, you just get bogged in. So I've parked on Les's golf driving range car park, and I've got a little walkway through that I made myself to stay out the mud. And I've got all day up here. Not sure what I'm going to do, but a topic of conversation will be nettles. And of course, you will have seen me carry it onto site. I've now got my Bosch submersible pump, and I got it a few days ago during the week, and I did a little bit of, I unwrapped it here, and I've got some clips of that. And what I wanted to, and I've now got a 25 metre length of hose, which when I did the initial video I didn't have, and I said, oh, I need to get that. Well, actually I had it in the garage, so that's that problem solved. And what I wanted to do today is show you me using the pump to move water around the site. I can't. Everything's full. There's not an empty water butt on my plot. In fact, they've all overflowed. There's standing water everywhere. Yeah, so I'm afraid that part of the review is going to have to wait. And of course, you know, you should own something for a little bit of time and use it in the means it was meant before you do a review. So maybe that's no bad thing. So, welcome along. It's nice to have you here. I'm undecided yet whether I'm going to light the fire. You know, I can manage without it, but I enjoy it. My dad's given me some more wood that he's managed to source from somewhere and chop up, so thank you, Dad. Yeah, I'm not sure. I probably won't, but and I became, or my wife and I became grandparents again this weekend. My son Daniel had his third child, Hanley May. So congratulations to Daniel and Terry. Yeah, whatever I do, I'm going to get a brew on now, and then I think we'll talk stinging nettles. That connector's got a little knob in it that means you can't put it on the wrong way. There's a little male and a female to ensure that the pins go the right way. So you push it in and then you screw it up tight. Done. So you've got the on-off button there, on. Oh, probably shouldn't have done that, it's dry. And then you've got a 5, 10 and a 15 minute timer so that you can run it automatically. Right, so that drops into the water butt like so, and then this comes out. That hooks over the edge of the water butt. It's got an on-off tap on it, and then you connect your 25 meters of hose onto here. Well, as the rain settles in for yet another May day, I hope you can see the coil of yellow hose up at the water drums, and as I said I would, I've put screws in all the way along at a 45-degree angle that hooks the hoses. So as the summer begins in a week, and hopefully the weather dries up, I mean the forecast is a little bit better, that's how far. It's just under 25 metres actually, I think it's about 23 metres, and of course a couple of metres are up at the drum. So I will certainly be able to top up that drum as a dip tank for the lower part of the allotment. I've just got to test now whether the Bosch submersible pump does what it says on the tin and pumps water that far. We shall see. I'm going to trial it today. I mean, I'm going to show you, even if I only have to fill up an empty bucket, which is about the only thing I've got that hasn't got water in it. Okay then, I've connected up the pump. The pump's now in the barrel. The recharge battery is in the control box, and I've connected the green hose that came with the pump to the 23 or so meters of hose that I've provided all the way down, and it's in the yellow bucket that I've put the whole shebang in to travel with it to and fro, because I'm not leaving it up the allotment in the shed. So let's see, without further ado, what kind of pressure I get at the other end. Well, I'm very happy with that. You know, I'd be quite happy to water Well, this is my tub in which you saw me in the last video make stinging nettle, or start to make the fertiliser. The problem with my system here is, as you can see, rain, which we've had an awful lot of in the last week, can accumulate. That dustbin lid isn't watertight, otherwise it would have water standing on it. Well, you can see the lid that I had on it has now collapsed with the bricks. It's all a bit messy. Can't smell anything yet. And you can see there's been a bit of fermentation or bubbling going on. And we've got rain again today, but from tomorrow on the forecast looks good for the next week or two. So hopefully there'll be no more rain, because I don't want that filling up. I want it to be a concentrate. Anyway, it looks like something's going on. It looks highly unpleasant. I've got to try and fish out that lid and the bricks without putting my hands in it, because from everything I've read and seen on YouTube, if you get that on your hands will smell for days to come. So I've got a bit of a job on there. Anyway, it seems to be working. When it came to making this nettle fertilizer to use on my plants, you look on YouTube and you see, there's a myriad of people doing it, and I followed their advice and guidance. But and I know that this fertilizer is called nettle tea. Of course, when you type into YouTube nettle tea, half of the stuff that comes up is about making the brew tea from nettles. And I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, let's have a look at it. Well, I was blown away. I simply didn't know the sheer healing and health benefits of stinging nettles. I've seen these silly competitions where people eat them raw and their tongues and their mouths go black. I've seen that on Country File or some other programme. And I'm aware that, there was a thing called nettle tea, but yeah, I just couldn't believe it. And if you don't mind me reading from the notes I made, I'm just going to briefly tell you some of the things. And I've gone on various different people's channels, and they all say the same thing. This is not, some wacko quack telling me what he thinks. This is established science. So the benefits to your health of consuming nettles in a tea, or I've seen somebody with a recipe for nettle pizza. Not sure I'm gonna get that one past Cheryl, but anyway, so stinging nettles, they've been used for hundreds of years as a medicine. They are a treatment for hay fever. They alleviate the symptoms of hay fever, and in fact all allergy symptoms can be relieved and lessened by drinking nettle tea on a regular basis. Nettles reduce pain and inflammation. I mean, all fruits and vegetables can do that, but nettles are particularly good at it. They support blood sugar management, which is extremely advantageous to diabetics. It reduces the symptoms of benign prostate hyperplasia, BPH, which apparently is quite common. It contains histamine, which repairs arteries and blood vessels, improving blood circulation. That's remarkable. Again, I am aware of certain vegetables that can do that. It relieves the symptoms of all autoimmune diseases. Reduces pain and inflammation from osteoarthritis. Flushes out harmful bacteria from the urinary tract. And I saw stuff specifically about the urinary tract and urinary infections, and that it can prevent that. If it's a common problem, it can lessen the occasions of that happening. Nettles are high in polyphenols, which are known to reduce risk of breast and prostate cancer, the two most common cancers for men and women. Nettles are high in antioxidants, which protect the body from all damage and aging. Now, I know from previous research I've done, when it talks about oxidization, that's basically rust. And when you look at a more elderly person's hands, arms, and all over their body, I would guess, they have these little brown mottled marks on them. That is essentially oxidization. That person is rusting. Something to look forward to, boys and girls. And nettles can help prevent that. And indeed, that oxidization, when they cut open the brain of somebody who died with or of dementia, those little brown globules, rather than on the outside of the skin, they are formed in the brains. So nettles, as again with many fruits and vegetables, are powerful antioxidants. Nettles contain vitamins A, B1, B5, C, D, E and K. Nettles contain 4 times more vitamin C gram for gram than oranges. I think that's everything I wrote down. Yeah, and one other thing referring to the fertiliser, stinging nettle fertiliser contains chlorophyll, nitrogen, potassium, iron, zinc, magnesium and calcium, which of course when you consume leaf nettle tea yourself, you're gaining the benefits of all those wonderful minerals, and you should use the fertiliser itself is used to promote leafy growth. So you know, your rhubarb, your lettuces, your salads, your brassicas, anything where it's the leaf you consume, it would benefit from that. And indeed, from what I understand, is it can be used on all crops, including those where you're after the fruit, until such time as the fruit sets or the flowers generate, and then you turn to well, something like a comfrey feed. Anyway, I thought that was fascinating. So I came up here straight away and I picked loads and loads of nettles. Nettles, you won't be surprised to hear, are 86% water. And so I've created several trays. This tray was full to the top, not packed down, but filled to the top. And it says, place for 4 or 5 days in bright, warm sunshine. Anybody want to take these abroad for me? So all I've done is I've put them in the shed. I mean, the first day I did it, we did have a little bit of sunshine, so they were out in the sunshine for about 2 hours. So, oh, they are crispy. Can you hear that? And of course the stingers is ineffective now, which is just as well because I'm going to drink some of these in a minute. Place in the sunshine for 4 or 5 days. Yeah, right. I'm taking this nettle tea so seriously. I'm going to make a cup of nettle tea in a moment when I've boiled some water. But what I've done is I've been out. Well, I haven't been out. I ordered it online. And I've bought myself a strainer. So it's got these fold out. This was £6. I haven't exactly broke the bank over it. But those... I should just leave those out. It's not the strongest thing in the world. Anyway, I don't know if you can see, it's a mesh, a very fine mesh. So that's going to, I'm sure you don't need me to explain this, do you? Like a tea strainer. That's going to sit there. I'm going to pop my nettles in there, pour boiling water on it, let it stand for 10 minutes, take that out and drink the tea. I'm going to do it live for you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I give you my word, I have not tasted this yet. It's actually 15 minutes and I've just taken the strainer out. If this tastes acceptable, it's going to make drinking all that nettle a lot easier. But unless it really is foul, I've tried green tea, all these different boxes of green tea before, because I am aware of the restorative power of green tea. But it's like drinking dishwater, and I'm prepared to do most things for my health, but drinking dishwater is beyond the pale. So chin chin. It smells familiar. It smells like the sort of water you strain off your vegetables, which I suppose is effectively what this is. Tasteless. If I'd have shut my eyes, I'd think I was drinking hot water. Actually, that's not quite true. There is a slight tang to it, but it's not an unpleasant. That is a perfectly acceptable hot drink. You know, it's not like tea or coffee, but tea and coffee are not necessarily good for you. Certainly don't appear in the same league table as this. Yep, no, I can drink that quite happily. Oh, what a relief. I haven't wasted that £6 on a strainer. Well, you know, each to their own. But having read what I've read about the sheer power of nettle tea, I'm happy to indulge. I think you know, sort of my mental approach to it is simply, it's something that should be done that is good for me, so I will do it. But it's not like drinking a cup of tea when you get up in the morning and you get that, oh, that's better. You know, it's not like that. But, you know, I can do this quite happily. Well, out the back here, which was flooded until recently, I naively sowed some grass seed. These areas here, which in the winter, you know, are almost unwalkable, I've put some plastic honeycomb bases in, which will firm it up all the way along. And although, you know, given time, they would have seeded themselves, I think, I've put a bit of grass seed down. And that piece in particular is a low point, which then feeds into the Hanley Canal, which goes off around the side of the plot. When I got here Thursday, I think it was, before we went away for the weekend, this was under a couple of inches of water, flowing. You could hear it flowing and dropping into the ditch that I call the Hanley Canal. So yeah, whether the grass seed is still in that soil or whether it's been washed away, I don't know. Time will tell. However, talking of things seeding, I know I've kept you up to date with these carrots, but they are most definitely visible now, and I'm going to do the very mundane job today of getting my fingers in between those carrot seedlings and just weeding while I've still got sight of the soil before the top growth becomes too excessive. But I'm very, very pleased with those. Time will tell whether, because of the green board I've put up to neutralise the effect of all these horrible blue barrels, whether because the sun doesn't get round here till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whether that will affect the growth. I guess this one on the end will do better, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not after but big carrots, so we shall wait and see. But let's just go and have a look at the parsnips now. Well, again, hopefully you can see those, but those parsnip seedlings, these were all pre-chitted. Every parsnip I'm growing was pre-chitted in the airing cupboard, but I'm sure you can just about make those out. And as we move up to the more earlier sown, you can see there's a definite increase in the size. Till we move over to this one, which was the very first I sowed, where, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, I have parsnips up and away. So again, a little bit more hand weeding needed there, but very happy with the way it's going. We haven't done anything out of the QI book recently, and I've just read a couple of pages and had a little chortle to myself, so I thought I'd bring you along. Holding hands causes heart rates, breathing and brain waves to synchronise. Hand dryers in public toilets blow fecal bacteria all round the room and spread it evenly over your hands. I think I've read that one before. That's hilarious. 7% of Netflix users watch movies in public toilets. The pig toilet, once common in rural China, fed human waste straight to pigs. I assume the people then ate the pigs and got their waste back. Oh, right. In Germany, you can be fined €2,500 for calling someone an old pig. During the First World War, truces would occasionally be called in the trenches so both sides could yell insults at each other. It's got to be better than throwing grenades, isn't it? During the Christmas truce of 1914, one English soldier got a haircut from a German who used to be his barber in Holborn. What are the chances? In 1865, the Duke of Buckingham was blown from Holborn to Euston through a pneumatic tube intended for parcels. Roman maps gave exact distances between towns and rated the roadside inns and the road quality. Wow. In Iceland, drawing a map on an envelope works just as well as writing the address. Until 2011, buildings in South Korea were numbered according to when they were built. When the River Han in Korea was crossed by tightrope walkers, the Washington Post reported, "Skywalkers in Korea cross Han solo." I think it's only Star Wars fans that will get that one. The Yellow River in China has lost 30% of its fish species and 66% of the water is undrinkable. Only 36% of Americans can locate North Korea on a map. I'm not sure that's got anything to do with Americans. I'm not sure most people could locate North Korea on a map. There are Google Maps for the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Pluto, 4 of Jupiter's moons and 7 of Saturn's. Who uses them? One of the moons of Uranus is called Margaret, obviously named after my mother. Yes, quite interesting. Well, here's this week's food for thought. I watch a channel called UK Column News. I don't watch mainstream media news anymore. It's not news. It's not giving a balanced view of both sides of the argument of this situation. It simply gives the government propaganda, and I won't accept that. I want independent, critical thought, and so I look elsewhere. And UK Column News, they've been on YouTube all through this and long before the COVID debacle, and they're brilliant, and they give a completely different perspective. So I've been watching them now for a year. And they've recently been taken off of YouTube, and they've had various sanctions issued by YouTube because it's government censorship. It's plain and simple. And the reason they were taken permanently off of YouTube was because they dared to show on their news bulletins the government figures for the side effects of the current jab. And you know, that's got to be kept quiet. So yeah, they were taken off and they're not allowed back on, but they have a website. You know, YouTube has nothing to do with that. The government can't censor that. And so you know, if you type in UK Column News, go to their homepage, and they post 2 or 3 videos a week, and they're an hour long, and you know, you can watch them if you want. But I just, you know, it's anyway. One of they showed a little a text from a man called Aldous Huxley, who was a research professor at UC Berkeley in 1962, and he gave a speech in 1962. Now that's the year before I was born, and I'm 58 years old. So this is unbelievably prophetic in what he says. And he said the following, and I quote: "There will be, in the next generation or so, a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude and producing a dictatorship without tears, so to speak, producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies, so that people will in fact have their liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it, because they will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing, or brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods." Now, you know, you can take that with a pinch of salt if you like, but you know, you look at where we are today, and so many people, you know, are saying we should be locked down longer, sooner, harder. Everyone should wear a mask, even though no one has ever shown any scientific reason for doing so. And the number of people that are driving along in a car on their own with a mask on, you know, it's... Anyway, I put that out there because I thought that was quite significant, that he should predict such a thing, and here we are going into a world with vaccine passports and apps on your phones. I mean, what the government have put on the NHS app in the last week is frightening. And if you don't know what they've done to the NHS and the app in the last week, then may I respectfully suggest that goes to show that you're not getting the full spectrum of national news that you should be. And there's that phrase that I've seen in the last year that says some people are given their news, others go out and find it. And again, I think that's incredibly significant. And if you sit down in your living room and you turn the television on and you watch the mainstream media news, you are not receiving news, you are receiving government propaganda. And if you think that's controversial, so be it. But it's food for thought, and that's all it is. Well, the rain is set in all day, you know, but I'm optimistic that actually after today, this week, the weather will dry up, and the plot will start to dry up. There's a little bit of standing water. There was a lot more last week, and I should say now a thank you to Joseph, one of my subscribers, who gave me a heads up in one of his comments that batten down the hatches, they've got a storm coming, and he was right. And I did prepare, and I put lots of bricks on things. I've got a concern because of this chap's new shiny polytunnel. The lids on my compost heaps are just sheets of plastic that I put weight on to keep them on, and occasionally in a storm they've flown off, which I must be careful of because they could hurt somebody. So after Joseph's heads up, I really weighted them down and they haven't moved. But if one of them flies off, it will go straight through his polytunnel. Luckily it won't damage any crops. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks to those who've subscribed. It's fair to say that, you know, I've been around the 400 subscribers mark for a while, and it gets up near 400 and then I go and say something and, you know, have a bit of a rant and it drops down and I lose a few and it goes up and I lose it, you know. So be it. I can't help it. You know, I know other people have allotment channels and they don't mention anything about it, and that's great, but that's just not me. And, you know, I have a very good friend, Tim, who I go canoeing with. We haven't been for a year, but you know, he's an ex-soldier like me, and he's a totally reliable man. He's intelligent, he's articulate, and we sit around a campfire on a canoe trip night after night, and we never agree on anything. But I've listened to what he said, and we've never fallen out over it. We're mature adults, and we can disagree respectfully. And I've changed my view on a few things because of what he said. That's why nature's far more intelligent than the human species. It gave us one mouth and two ears. So you should use them in that proportion, and by doing so you learn. I've learned everything I know in life by listening to others. You know, initially my parents, and then friends and other members of my family, and my customers with regard to my job. So, you know, I do worry about society, that people only want to hear what they want to hear, and if somebody is a dissenter, you know, the censorship that has gone on through this current debacle is frightening, and it sets a dangerous precedence. So anyway, I make no apology if I upset a few people, but for those of you that stuck with me through thick and thin, I thank you. So all being well, I shall post another video next weekend, and hopefully you'll be with me. So have a good week. Let's hope you have a dry week. Look after yourselves, and I shall see you soon. Bye for now.